We're live. We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Steel City Scott, welcome back to the NFL. We're back for 2025. How you do? Oh, hold on.
We're back.
Hold on. I gotta
It
fix your
feels good.
graphic here.
Yeah, fix my graphic. I don't know what you did to it, but it's wrong. Whatever you did is wrong.
Yeah, it's up. You should
No,
testing
it's
test. All right, I think I got you. I think I got you now.
we're back. You got the graphic looking good. Does it look correct? Does it show me as champion? Is there a crown over my head? Probably not.
No, no, none of that. None of that. New season. New season. You got to earn that.
Whatever. New season. Don't worry about my face. I see that I see what the problem was now that the chat's informing me that you kept my last week photo in there, which was not appealing to everyone. We are back. Evelyn, welcome to the chat. He did that because he was upset because let's do a little recap on 2024 before we get into 2025, ladies and gentlemen.
Everybody. On this
no big deal.
Sunday.
I finished with an outstanding record of 119 correct picks to 92 incorrect picks with 3 pushes, and Miami almost got to 500 the last week. 105, 108, and 2. So not bad overall. 27 more in the win column for me. Then losses, 14 more. And that's why he did that with his the picture of his face there. But I get it. It is what it is.
Common mistake. Common mistake.
So before we get into it, we're going to have a little fun this year. Every week, the winner gets to pick what the loser will wear for the show. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to go yet, but I took the bet instantly because I don't think there was a single week that Drink Wine beat me last year. So Miami, you got to get it together. I had myself quite the season, and
you did. You really did. It was a great year.
I was right about a couple things. I said Saquon Barkley last year was going to go off behind that offensive line, which he did. I will take credit for that. Looking back in the season, it feels like it was yesterday watching the Bills lose a heartbreaker to Kansas City, which they talked about on Hard Knocks this season, fresh in the mind. But let's jump right into some off-season news here. Thank you, Evelyn. I know I did good. I know. I appreciate it. Let's just get excited.
That right there, Evelyn, is why you can't say shit like that.
Just like because last year, we're going to start this year.
Now look at it. This is. I want the chat to know you did this right here. Okay.
Look, this is what happened last year. We started this season with the helmet coming on for the Blazers here. We're going to start it this year with the helmet on again. We're going to go on another run here. Look, let's talk some big offseason news. We're going to start with my boys, the Steelers, not only because I'm biased, but because they're playing right now. We picked up DK. We picked up Ramsey. We got Slay, but we traded away Minka, which is big, pretty big leader on our team there. And we got Rodgers, which I don't think I'm excited about, but if he takes us to a Super Bowl, I will get a discount double check tattoo across my chest. My wife won't let me do that, but I will consider it strongly. And then George Pickens to the Cowgirls where he belongs. I like our team this year. We made some decent trades. We actually picked up some good players. We're not just picking up old vets. I'm just going to keep chugging along, Miami. You jump in when you're ready, but
you take over.
So these are my key takeaways to the offseason news. Devontae Adams to the Rams. I think that's pretty big for LA. They already got Puka. They got Cup. Now they're getting Devontae Adams. He can catch anything. So I do think the Rams are going to make a push in the NFC. We'll get into all this. Washington, surprised last year how well they performed. Sorry, I know Butts is in the chat, so he probably doesn't want to talk about Washington too much there. Sorry about your Lions. But Laramie Tunzel, their offensive line is getting better. I think it's going to be impactful to the young, talented group they have there on the offense. Geno Smith to the Raiders. Here's why it's big, ladies and gentlemen. Brock Bowers last year had a fantastic season, and he did not have a quarterback. Geno Smith is not an elite quarterback, but he's going to toss that rock around. I'd like Brock Bowers to have a fantastic year. We'll get into it more, but I think he's going to have 120 catches this year. Joey Bosa to the Bills. Forgot about that one until I was back on Hard Knocks. Don't forget, Diggs to the Patriots. That's big for Drake May and that group there, especially with their head coach pickup in the offseason. Justin Fields to the Jets. I like it a lot. He played well for us, and I think he's going to do okay in New York. Those are my key offseason takeaways we might have forgot about. And then just a shout out to old Butts in the chat there. I'm sorry about your Lions. We're going to touch on it a few times, so just buckle up. And this is squeezing my head. I got to get it off.
That was a good commitment. Good commitment there. All right. Well, that's a good breakdown of the offseason as well. Thank you. Thank you for that. Do you want to start here with your AFC and my AFC, or do you want to go NFC?
Oh, we're starting AFC, but just one comment before we get into it. Caleb, you can delete that message in the chat there. Broncos are not going to win the Super Bowl, and Bo Nix is not going to win the MVP. It's just not going to happen. All right, AFC, let's get into it. We're going to start with the AFC East. We're going to touch on the division winners here, why we believe it's going to be so in their record. AFC East, pretty straightforward. It's going to be Buffalo. They're still in their 5-year grace period. They're still in their Super Bowl chance period. I think they're going to go 14-3 this year. We'll get into it a little bit more, but I think the Bills, maybe the Ravens, they're kind of like the 1-2 coming out of the AFC now, in my opinion. Kansas City's fallen off. We'll get into it, but I got the Bills winning the AFC East. I think they're going to take home about 14 games. Rowdy people up there. We were there last December for a football game. I believe in it. I'm a believer. Just came up with that on the fly. Who do you got for the East?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm with you. I got the Bills too. As a Dolphins fan, I was so happy when Tom Brady finally got out of the AFC East, but all they did was just replace him with Josh Allen. And Josh Allen is just going to take up right where he left off, it seems, and he's going to dominate the AFC East for time to come. I'd like to say the Dolphins are going to compete with it. It is not going to happen. Mike McDaniel's got to get out of there. Tua is apparently in some committee now in with the Trump administration and whatnot, not to get political, but I don't even know if his head is all right. Anyway, we're not. It's bad. Dolphins are bad.
He's one hit away.
Fire the coach. Fire the GM. Wheel and deal somebody. Get some. It's all bad. Bring in John Gruden. That's where I'm at. Patriots and Jets. You mentioned it. Drake May. He should take a big step forward this year. He got some help with Stephon Diggs. I think Patriots are in a great spot with Mike Vrabel also coming back as head coach, former player there. He's going to set the standard, set the culture that the Patriots are used to with, past teams under Bill Belichick. I think they're able to make some progress. Don't really think that they're going to make the playoffs, same as the Dolphins, but I do think that they'll make, obviously, a large improvement based off of last season. Jets, same thing. Justin Fields come in. I think that's a big addition, but we'll see. We'll see. I will say for Justin Fields, though, he's not going to have any excuses in terms of weapons. He's got weapons with the Jets. They have a somewhat decent running game, decent offensive line. Defense is solid. So this is, Justin Fields' chance. If he doesn't do anything in this starting role, it might be his last chance as a starter in the NFL. So he's got to make the most of it. I still see the Jets finishing with a negative record this year, but hopefully Justin Fields can stay healthy and kind of take those next steps into being a potential, guy for this team moving forward. But that's kind of how I got the AFC East breaking down.
All right. So Jets will finish similar to this season that you will for the picks this year. Nice. So AFC West, moving into the AFC West. Look, I think the AFC West is going to be more competitive this year. Caleb, yes, I do think your Broncos are going to be competitive. Bo Nix coming out. I don't think he's going to have a sophomore slump like some people think. I think the Broncos are going to be competitive. I think the Raiders are going to be more competitive than people think this year. Geno, quarterback, Brock Bowers, man, like I said, I think he's going to catch 120 balls this year. But when it comes down to it, Kansas City right now, they're just a juggernaut. They find ways to win games they shouldn't win. Yes, I think they're coming down the mountain from their run here. Travis Kelce's getting old. They're losing some players. Some people are moving on. But I think Kansas City is going to go about 13 games, 13-4 this season. I think they're going to have another good year. But don't be surprised if they split it with the Broncos and the Raiders. I wouldn't be surprised if they split those series this season. I just think the Broncos, they're going to sneak into the playoffs, and they're going to be competitive. So Caleb, that one's for you there. Broncos will be competitive, but I got Kansas City and Mahomes. You cannot doubt them. We've talked about this year over year, game over game. If you bet against Mahomes, you're going to lose. So I'm going to go with Mahomes to take the West.
I'm actually going to go with the Broncos. I think to take the West. I think that the Raiders are going to be sneaky in there. Not necessarily sold on Ashton Genty yet. I need to see him in some actual game reps. Some of his preseason stuff just wasn't really impressed by it, to be fair. You mentioned Brock Bowers. So interesting note on Brock Bowers. His overall for receiving touchdowns, I believe, is at 5.5 for the year, which that might be cake. So definitely look into that potentially. Pat Mahomes, I don't know if you saw this offseason, but he looks like a walking keg. He did not didn't really look like he focused too much on development this offseason. So that part is a little frightening. You mentioned Travis Kelce kind of being on his way out. It's probably going to be his last year. I'm with you. I don't know if this Chiefs team is going to be able to sustain this run. I mean, it's extremely impressive, but at some point it's got to end. And these other three teams, the Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, they're all trending upward. They all are moving in the right direction. Yep, young talent. Justin Herbert partnered with Jim Harbaugh, and they all have good quarterbacks and coaches. That's the thing. Geno Smith with Pete Carroll. They have familiarity being in Seattle. Bo Nix, obviously Sean Payton in Denver. And then defense. It sort of all comes down to AFC West. Whatever team has the best defense is usually the team that kind of finds their way out of there. So for me, I'm going to go with the Broncos. Shout out Caleb in the chat. I'm a believer. I'm not gonna put a pun with it. It's right there. It's right there. I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, I got the Broncos to finish first. I think the Chiefs. So something interesting also, right? We've talked about before how we kind of look at numbers, and sometimes the numbers are they give you a hint or a clue sometimes, right? So I saw a prop the other day. It was the Chiefs to make the playoffs, the Ravens to make the playoffs, and the Bills to make the playoffs at plus 100.
Two of them will, for sure.
Seems little too obvious, right? It seems like somebody's going to put their mortgage on that and they're going to lose their life. So somebody out of those three, to me, just based off of that, somebody knows something. Just watch those three teams when it comes to some of those future bets, is all I'm saying. So Chiefs could be that odd man out with the Raiders and Chargers. I'm telling you, this wild card this year, overall for both conferences, is going to be sort of a complete toss-up. You're going to have these conference winners, then, I mean, there could be 2-3 teams coming out of same division plus the winners this year. So it's volatile, just needless to say. But yeah, that's kind of how I see the AFC West shaping up. You got Broncos, I got the Raiders and Chiefs probably competing for 2. Chargers are going to be somewhere in there. Chargers, I think, are just still a couple pieces away. And unfortunately, I think their real window has already come and gone. When they had Bosa and he was healthy, they had Khalil Mack. They had Derwin James when he was healthy. They had a Denzel Perryman at linebacker in the middle. They had outside help at wide receiver. They've lost all their receivers. Mike Williams is gone. Quentin Johnston just got rocked in his game. So that wasn't exciting. Austin Eckler's gone. Keenan Allen is back. So Justin Herbert has his go-to Keenan Allen, wide receiver back for 1 year, but I still think they need weapons. I think they're missing also a tight end that they can go to reliably. So I would look for them to try to make maybe a move mid-season to try to find a tight end. But that's kind of how I got the AFC West, Scott.
Here. Very interesting takes. Look, I would love to see the Broncos perform well, beat Kansas City. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. I'd love to watch it happen as a Kansas City hater, along with everyone else who's not Kansas City fans, but we'll see. Look, you talked about multiple teams making the playoffs. So let's move to the best division in football. You want to guess what it is? No? You got nothing?
I think we're having connection issues. I think we're having connection issues on your end. You're getting a little staticky, a little robot-y.
Hold on. I know how to fix this. Can you hear me now, Mr. Krabs?
Oh, hold on. I can put up a graphic for the meantime. Don't worry.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Krabs? All right, look, guys. I was streaming the Steelers game outside. I had a bunch of stuff going on. That one's on me. Are we back? Yeah, see, look, Butts got it. Turn off the Xbox. He's aware. He knows what's happening. All right, I'm back. Look, hot takes. I don't know if you heard me. Kansas City. Look, I'd love to watch them lose. And living in Denver, I'd love to watch them be successful. It'd be a fun atmosphere here. So we'll see what happens. But let's move on to the best division in football. I know you heard me say that. You just didn't want to say anything. Go ahead.
I did. I did kind of piece that one together a little bit. I heard it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, the AFC North, ladies and gentlemen. The key takeaway here is Drinkwine mentioned it. He mentioned getting multiple teams into the playoff from the same division. We've done it once. I wouldn't be surprised if we do it again. I will not be shocked if the AFC North puts in 3 teams into the playoffs this year. Here's why. The Browns are irrelevant poopy turds. Same team they've been. We're probably going to split with them. It's always competitive, those games. But Cincinnati, they have all the weapons in the world to be successful. Last year, they just got too far behind too early. They tried to fight back. They were a game away from the playoffs. The Steelers this year, look, I'm going to be as unbiased as possible here. I do not believe Rodgers is the answer. I said as possible. I'm going to try my best here. Rodgers is not the answer. He should be in a wheelchair. He's geriatric. But I will say this. If somehow he leads us to 10, 11 games, victory, I will take all this back. I will put my foot in my mouth. I will be the most loyal Rodgers fan out there. I'll say it now. But I do not currently believe in him. Who I do believe in, though, our tight ends, they're going to get better and better. Washington, we need to use him more, catch more footballs, catch more touchdowns for him. I love our pickup. Iowa running back. We got Warren back. Look, we got some guys up front. We strengthened our cornerbacks. We got Slade, Joey Porter. We got Ramsey. We got a chance. We're giving ourselves a chance. But that doesn't mean we're going to win the division. I think we might win 10 games if we're lucky, sneak into the playoffs, go to Buffalo, lose by 40 in the wild card round. But the Ravens are going to take the AFC North. They're just only going to get better. Last year, they were a wagon. This year, they're going to be a wagon. I mean, their team's just getting better year over year. Lamar's in his prime. Derrick Henry's still putting up, 18 touchdowns on the year last year. It's just hard to compete with them. They got a good defense, a good offense. So as much as I want to say it, let's be real and realistic here. The Ravens are going to take the division, sadly, over my boys by probably a game or two. But don't be surprised if the AFC North sneaks in Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Baltimore into the playoffs. I would not be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see it. I'm with you. Ravens are definitely the division winner here for me. Steelers and Bengals, I just don't know what I'm going to get yet. It's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of high peaks and a lot of low valleys. I tend to lean towards the Steelers getting in over the Bengals. Based off of, Mike Tomlin. They seem like a fuller team, and this is also, for the most part, their roster is old. Let's just be real. So they don't have a lot of time in Pittsburgh to make things happen. It's the time is now. So I do think that the Steelers are going to compete. I don't know if their record is going to be good enough to put them in potentially another wild card team like the ones that we just talked about with the Chiefs or the Broncos or the Raiders or the Chargers. And then you do get into the team that you just mentioned, the Bengals. I mean, the Bengals, like you said, they were one game away. They went on an incredible run in the end of the year to get to that shot because at the beginning of the year it's been trash. They've been trash at the beginning of the year since Joe Burrow has been with the Bengals. I think they've started 1-2, 1-3, somewhere along those lines every year. They found a way to sort of get it going. That's going to be the biggest thing for me this year is if they can get it going sooner than later. The biggest one that they have is, I believe, week 1. They start against Cleveland, in Cleveland. So massive game, for them, for getting on the right track, for a divisional opponent. They then get the Jaguars at home. Then they got to go to the Vikings. They got to play the Broncos, the Lions, the Packers. It gets dicey for the Bengals this year. They have a bit of a tough schedule in stretches. There's another stretches that, are very doable, but they do have a pretty tough schedule. So I think they got to get off to a strong start. Week 1, come out firing. If they're unable to do that, I don't know if they will be able to sneak into the playoffs, which is how deep these conferences are going to be this year. The Browns, you mentioned it. Don't even consider them to do anything. They will be a top 3, top 5 draft pick next year again. Just too much calamity. Too much indecision. Too much up in the. It's just a shit show, just to put it lightly. Yeah. So stay away from the Browns. I'm with you though. Ravens, Bengals, Steelers. They could all make their way into the playoffs, but I do like the Ravens to go ahead and get it done.
Fair enough. You bring up a good point though. What's up, Gator Dave? See you in the chat. You bring up a good point. If Kansas City gets in, you're competing against the Broncos, who I think are going to be strong this year. So the AFC wild card spots, you're going to have to be 10. You're going to have to be 10 games at least. I don't think you're going to get in under. So let's move on to the last division, AFC South, the least exciting division. But let's put it this way: maybe there's a chance it picks up. Look, the Jaguars are probably my watch team. Pretty sorry year last year for them, but that leads to a high draft pick. And if it turns out the way people are hoping it turns out, a two-way player that can change both sides of your game, we'll see what happens. I think that there's probably a chance for a more impactful play as a defensive cornerback, in my opinion, than a receiver. But we'll see what happens with Travis Hunter. He could go both ways. He could be a stud on both sides of the ball. Trevor, he's got to get it going for the Jags. For me, if the Jags have another 3, 4, 5 win season, they got to start thinking about a complete rebuild, in my opinion. But for me, the South, it only comes down to 2 teams. It's the Jags, who are somewhat relevant now if Hunter turns out to be the player everyone thinks he's going to be, and the Texans. The Texans got hurt. They lost some big players towards the end of last year, but they still got Stroud. They got Nick Chubb, don't forget. They got Joe Mixon. They got, Nico Collins. They have some young, high-level talent on the offense if they can stay healthy, and their defense is decent. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the 11-win category, the Texans. But I think that they'll take the South with 10 or 11 wins for the AFC South.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just think it's the Texans' time. They're deep. They made some good acquisitions over the offseason. They brought in Nick Chubb as a running back. He's going to be competing in that backfield to get a starting spot, get some carries. They got a deep team, and they got a team that can believe that they play with anybody. They've proven it. They just have to stay healthy. That was their biggest problem last year. Most of their receiving core went down with injuries. They just have to stay healthy. So I'm with you. I like the Texans to win the division. Jaguars, I think that they're a team to watch for sure. I think they're also a team that doesn't really necessarily know what they're doing, whether they want to sell jerseys or win football games. So, you mentioned Travis Hunter. your guy Ryan Clark, old safety for the Steelers, he made a great point, I thought, the other day on ESPN, and that was, the Jaguars are talking about just playing Travis Hunter on one side of the football in one game, and another maybe switching him to the other side. It's just a mistake. That's not why you traded up to go get Travis Hunter, was to be an average wide receiver and an average corner. Travis Hunter is Travis Hunter because he can do both. He's not a top 5 pick at wide receiver, and he's not a top 5 pick at corner. He was a top 5 pick because he could do both for you. So if the Jaguars don't use him that way, it's a huge mistake.
Yep.
And what they lost, and that's just an interesting note there. The Colts, Daniel Jones is getting the first start over Anthony Richardson, Week 1, old Giants quarterback. That's super interesting considering the Colts, took Anthony Richardson. He was supposed to be their guy. So it's
franchise quarterback.
Invested a lot of time into him. For them to make this decision now is very, very eye-opening. We'll see what happens there. And then obviously Titans, my guy Cam Ward taking over at quarterback there. I don't think they're going to do too much this year. I think they'll win some football games. I got them kind of somewhere between the 5 and 6 range. I think they'll compete. I think they may upset some folks, but in terms of consistent week-to-week performance, they're not there yet. They're going to need a few more players, but they're going to be on the right track. So I'm with you, though. Texans to win the division in the AFC South, and I think that one's going to be ugly, just like it always is.
Yeah, that one's pretty gross. I think you're onto something with the Titans. Yeah, they're not going to be anything this year. They're going to be building this year, but I do believe we'll get into him some more later. But I do believe Cam Ward is the future of that team, and I think he's going to be outstanding. All right, let's get into the NFC. We talked about the AFC being deep, trouble with the wild cards. You got to win at least 10 games to get in. The NFC, you might have to win 11. There are some very good teams in the NFC. Let's start with the NFC East. So, look, you got your Eagles, you got your Commanders. The Giants they're starting to tickle. There's a little gust of wind you can feel it in the back of your neck as it blows by, but they're not going to be anything this year. I think they're going to be a 6-win team, maybe. The Cowboys, I'd love nothing more than for them to go 0-16, 0-18. Whatever it is, I want them to not win a single game. That would be laughable. I hate the Cowboys. I hope they suck this year and come in. I really do have the Cowboys maybe winning 4 or 5 games this year. But that brings us to the juggernauts in the NFC. Some of the heavy hitters here, we got 2 of them. We got Philadelphia. Look, Philadelphia is a consistent juggernaut. Yes, there's some recent injuries to the team. Landon Dickerson, he got hurt. We'll see what happens there. But their offensive line, they're just a unit. Their defensive front, all of them are animals, standouts on any team in the NFL. They've got playmakers everywhere. They got Saquon. He's going to go for 2,000 again. They got Jalen Hurts. He's the definition of consistency and a leader on the field. Look, Philadelphia, they're a wagon. They're going to win at least 13 games this year. But then you got the Commanders. Surprise last year. Can they do it again? Can they keep up with the consistency of the Philadelphias, the Detroits in the NFC? We'll find out. But I got Philly just because the consistency, the play they have, the team they've put together the last 5 years, the performance over that Washington excitement. They had a couple games they won, Hail Marys towards the end of the year to help them out and get them ahead. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from them. They played great, but I'm going to go with the consistent team, the consistent coaching, proven track record, demonstrated performance. Philadelphia, wagon, 13 wins, NFC East.
Yeah, I'm going to start from the top down. I'm with you. Eagles. They're just too deep. Howie Roseman, the GM there, he knows what he's doing. He goes out, and one of our buddies, Charles, I was actually talking with him the other day. On offense, they load up on Alabama players. And on defense, they load up on Georgia players. It's a pretty good strategy. It's not rocket science. Go get 2 of the most potent offenses and defenses consistently in college football over the last 10, 15 years. It's a good strategy, and it's working for them. So I'm with you. I just think they're too deep all across the board. They have depth. If guy goes down, they got somebody to step right in, take his place, and that's what the NFL is all about. So I'm with you. I got the Eagles winning the division. Commanders, you talked about. I'm not buying in yet. They call it a sophomore slump for a reason, and because these teams develop tape. They get tape on your breakout players from the year before. They know how to prepare for them now. Wait till, they find this little intricacies here or there that Jaden Daniels does. Deebo Samuel, another keg guy. What are we doing? Him and Patrick Mahomes are same.
I don't know. He was moving quick in the preseason.
Yeah, that's fine. And then, we'll see how the legs hold up by week 6. But, I'm just not buying into this Commanders team yet. Dan Quinn, I'm also not necessarily buying into him. A little PTSD from the Falcons back a few years back. I just don't know if he's, if he just has that capability to kind of take that next step and get over to that upper echelon. I'm not buying in yet. Giants, you mentioned it. I think the Giants are going to be very sneaky, potentially. I think they're going to finish with a winning record. They're going to be maybe 9-8. I think 9-8 for the Giants. I think they could flirt with a playoff spot. I don't think they end up in the playoffs, but significant improvement I think is coming from the Giants. And it's kind of do or die time for that organization right now too. So they gotta make some improvement. Cowboys, they're terrible. They're absolutely awful.
Trash.
Don't even consider them. Have you watched the Cowboys documentary on Netflix?
No, so I will say it looks pretty good.
It's not too bad. Okay, I will say it's not too bad, but Jerry Jones basically takes full credit for turning the NFL into what it is now, which is just a complete fucking money grab. And it's basically all Jerry Jones's fault because he went to the owners and was like, "Hey, we can make more money than what we're making. What are we doing?" And it all changed. So Karma. We can blame Jerry Jones. Also, fired Jimmy Johnson over ego, and look at you now, Jerry. 30 years later, Gator Dave, go get your Cowboys right. Mr. Clay, what are we doing? So yeah, now I have the Eagles pretty clearly at the top. Commanders, Giants, I think they're, Commanders will probably flirt with the playoffs. Giants, maybe surprise some folks. Cowboys, they're going clean house.
All right, I do not disagree with you there. Moving on to NFC West. So another interesting division look, I kind of alluded to it earlier. I love the Davante Adams pickup for the Rams. I think the Rams offensively, they can pace themselves with just about any team out there, and their defense isn't horrible. I have them around the 10-11 wins, and I think that's enough to take this division. But you've got so many teams that could come out of nowhere and make a push towards the end of the year or mid-year, beginning of the year, start strong. You got the Cardinals, Kyler, you got McBride. Look, they can make a push. There are no Cleveland Browns. That's not an easy team to beat week over week. Then you got the 49ers. They're still stacked. They still have a lot of talent all over the field. They just, last few years, they just can't get it fully together. But we'll see what happens. The 49ers they're one team I look every week when we're looking at spreads, and I'm like, that's a team that you really have to think about. And then it takes us to the Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks, in my opinion, are the only team in this division that I'm like comfortable saying they're not going to win. The 49ers can make a push. The Rams, I do think, are going to do it. The Cardinals could out of nowhere show up and win 8-9 games. You never know. And the Seahawks aren't there. It's tough. They could also win 8-9 games. I mean, everyone in this division could finish with 8 wins. Who knows? But I'm going to trust my gut here. I'm going to go with McVay. I'm going to go with the higher-powered offense. I'm going to go with the veteran quarterback with 3 great options at wide receiver now. Give me the Rams, but I think this is going to be a 10-11 win division here. I think it's going to be close. I think all these teams are going to split throughout the year. But I think the Rams are going to just edge it out barely. And then this brings us to what's going to happen in the wild card here. Because, either the Eagles or the Commanders. One of them is going to get a wild card. Whoever wins this division, if it's the Rams, the 49ers might squeak in. We'll get into the NFC North, but you got the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings, and the Bears are supposed to be making a push this year. They have an exciting team. The only division in football, in my opinion, sorry, Evelyn, I know you're out there, is going to be the NFC South, where I just have really nothing too exciting. But the Bucs are going to be good. But there's a lot of teams in the NFC that can make a push for the wild card here. And I think it's going to be another 10, maybe even 11 win wild card team in the NFC. But for the West, give me the Rams with 11 wins.
I like it. I'm going with the Niners.
I don't hate it.
I think if they stay healthy, they're just one of those teams right now that it's do or die time. Your guys are getting older. George Kittle, McCaffrey.
Yep.
You got a young quarterback in Brock Purdy. They've lost a ton of wide receivers, so they got to replace all that. But their defense is going to continue to be stout. Robert Saleh is coming back as the DC, old DC for them when they were making all their heavy runs late into the playoffs before he left for the Jets. He's back now, taking over as defensive coordinator. I think the 49ers get back on track. I think they do find a way to get to double-digit wins. They win this division. But I think you're 100% right. I think the Cardinals, the Rams, the Seahawks, even potentially the 49ers, you could all have them at 8 wins this year, potentially, and with a negative record. Or they could be at 11 wins, and they could all be a wild card team. You totally have it right. Complete and absolute toss-up in this division. I'm just going with the more seasoned guys, in my opinion, in the 49ers. What worries me about the Rams is Matthew Stafford. Apparently his injury issues right now, I think they're potentially a little more significant than what they're leading on, and I don't know if he's going to play a full season. And that's my thing. Also, he lost his safety blanket in Cooper Kupp. Now, granted, he's got Devontae Adams in return, but they still need that chemistry. They still need that familiarity. And he hasn't been getting the game reps with these guys that Stetson Bennett has. So unless you have total faith in Stetson Bennett to come in and potentially take over for this team and lead them, I don't know. And I just want to say real quick, shout out to the chat. Scott, we've made it to YouTube bots in the chat. We're doing something right.
We have bots, ladies and gentlemen. We have
bots. We are on the radar of bots, of YouTube bots. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
So shout out to the bots. And shout out to our people. I also want to announce this is our first time on podcasts as well. Yes. So shout out to our people listening to us on podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. Wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure to check us out there. But yeah, shout out the bots.
Big news on the bots. No, look, that's a tough division. I'm with you on that. I do think that Stafford is going to perform well. He's been at this point for the last few years where he knows what he needs to do. He needs to sit in the pocket, throw the ball, and not get hit. This is not a new thing for him. If anyone's going to get hurt and keep playing, it's going to be him. I don't think he's going to miss a lot of games this year. He is getting brittle, but if anyone's going to play through it, it's him. So slightly disagree with your take there on Stafford. I think he's going to sling it.
I mean, yeah, but there's only so many times the dude can get back up and shake it off, and he's done it for damn near 20 years now. So
fair enough. Shout out to Butts saying we made it in the chat for the bots coming in. All right, let's move on to Mr. Butts here in the NFC North. Okay, here's an interesting fact about the NFC North. Last year, the Chicago Bears won 5 games. Okay. The other 3 teams in this division won 40 games between the 3 of them. 40 games. Pretty wild stat. This is going to be tough. I mean, the Vikings, for whatever reason, they continue to feel like a fraud, but they win 14 games, 13 games, and they get to like 11-0, and you're sitting there going, wait a second. How are the Vikings winning? I don't understand what's happening. And then they lose a couple, but then they're going to make the playoffs with 13, 14 wins. The Packers, I think the Packers are going to be good. They're a consistent team. Love's coming in. they've got some good things going on there. So I would not be surprised if the Packers also have 11, 12 wins. And then that takes us to the most important team here. I hope you're listening, Mr. Butts. We did not do the Falcons yet. I see in the chat, Joseph Johnson, we did not do the Falcons yet. That is next, but I can tell you this right now. We're not going to be talking about them. Just forewarning. I will not be speaking about those birds. But no, NFC North, the Lions are going to take it. They're going to be 14 wins again. Yes, Ben Johnson is moving on. Yes, Ben Johnson's offensive mind, the fun he had in the field, it's a big hit to the team. But if there's any coach in the league, head coach in the league, where the head coach matters the most on the team, can get the team going, football guy, it is Dan Campbell. Look, Hutch is back. They say he's looking fantastic in the preseason, which I get it. It's preseason, but that was a big loss against this Lions team. The Lions lost. It was like 25 players off their defense towards the end of the season, and they still made a push to the NFC Championship game. So I'm high on the Lions. I think they're going to do it again. They're going to make a push. Lions 14 wins. They're going to take this division, but don't be surprised if there's 40 wins again between the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers. That's just crazy stat.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go against the Lions, right? They are clearly probably the hottest team, most popular team in all of football right now. But they did lose, you mentioned it, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, who was really kind of the architect of that entire offense and kind of got to know how to get the best out of all of his guys on the field. That's a big loss. I think that's a much bigger loss than kind of people are probably giving him credit for. He did go to the Bears. He's now the head coach of the in-division Bears. So it'll be interesting to see there, and I'll talk about them in a second. But also for the Lions, they also lost their defensive coordinator in Aaron Glenn, who's now the Jets head coach. So it's a bit of a turnaround for this Lions team, unfortunately, when it comes from a coaching perspective. They still have Dan Campbell at the helm. He still knows how to get the most out of his guys as a whole. So ultimately, I think they're going to be fine. They still have all of their weapons. I think the Lions will be fine. I have the Lions also winning the division, but just like you said, the Packers and the Vikings, they're going to be right there. The Lions better not slip up because the Packers and Vikings are going to be hungry and waiting. Packers, you mentioned it, ton of young wide receivers, ton of weapons for Jordan Love. They are really kind of investing in him and making sure that they put guys around him. They used their first-round draft pick on Matthew Golden, wide receiver this year for the first time in, I think, like 30 years, using it on an offensive player or a skill position player. So that's massive for the Packers. Supposedly he's having an awesome camp too. So Love has weapons. He doesn't have any more excuses. LaFleur doesn't have any more excuses. They did lose some guys on defense like Jair Alexander. He went to the Ravens, but he's also dealing with lingering issues, injury issues that he had while he was with the Packers. So you could argue, maybe not too much of a major loss there. I do think they're going to compete. Do I think they win the division? Probably not. Vikings, J.J. McCarthy comes in. He got hurt last year in his first year. Sam Darnold took over and almost took J.J. McCarthy's spot as starter on that team. They ultimately have decided to go with J.J. McCarthy and go with their investment, make him the guy, build around him. I think the Vikings are going to be able to do that. The way Kevin O'Connell, the head coach, calls his games, it is very considerate of the quarterback. He puts his quarterback in good positions, tries to limit their decision-making and kind of what could go wrong in a play. I think that's going to benefit J.J. McCarthy a lot. I think he is going to look good this year. I think the Vikings are going to probably finish with 9-10 wins. Do I think it's enough to win the division? No. Do I think it's enough to make the playoffs? Maybe. They could sneak in there.
Yeah.
Still got Aaron Jones at running back. Solid defense. They're very, very good at home. They're a notoriously good home team. Don't count the Vikings out. And then the Bears, like we mentioned, Ben Johnson, now the head coach there, with Caleb Williams at quarterback. I just don't. I'm not sold on Caleb Williams.
No.
That's kind of where I'm at. I like Ben Johnson. I like the team that Chicago is building around Caleb Williams, but I got to see him kind of take that next step as a leader, take that next step in the game, kind of put the team on his back, on his shoulders. I wasn't getting that vibe from him last year, so hopefully he's matured a little bit. He's taking the time to develop. Maybe Ben Johnson being there, will be able to get some of this out of him. But I got to see more from the Bears before I'm a full believer in this team. I think they will win some games. They may shock some folks. I don't see them really competing for playoffs or a division here. So that's how I got the North settling.
No, you said it.
Scotty.
You said it perfect. I think there's a lot of pressure on Caleb this year. He's got the coach. He's got the play caller. He's got the brilliant offensive mind. They put players around him. He's got to do something this year. Okay, moving on to the NFC South. We're going to talk about a better bird in this division. Look, I'm not gonna lie. The Falcons surprised me last year with 8 wins. I do think the Falcons are going to get a little bit better this year. The Panthers, I think, are going to be the Panthers. I think that they're just going to be a 5 to 6, 7 win team, maybe. The Saints, in my opinion, the Saints are going to be that team where they're not going to have a chance to win the division, but what they're going to do is they're going to spoil it for either the Falcons or Tampa Bay. One of them is going to get spoiled by the Saints. Those games are tough, and someone's going to get swept by the Saints, and that's going to be the reason they don't win the division. Kind of happened last year. Falcons were 2 games away from winning the division. The Bucs took it at 10-7. The problem is the Bucs got better. Baker is looking pretty good. They just have a lot of talent on that team. I like Bucky Irving a lot too to come out. So for me, I'm going to say the Bucs are going to take it. 11-6 is going to be the record, but it's going to be closer than I would like to admit with the Falcons right behind them. I do think the Falcons are going to get things going. And like I said, I just think Carolina and the Saints are kind of irrelevant from a division standpoint. Definitely more the Panthers than the Saints. The Saints can get a little dangerous, but I just don't see how any of those other teams beat the Bucs. I mean, the Falcons, don't get me wrong. Penix is going to get it. Penis is going to get it going for them. But Drake London, great. Kyle Pitts, everyone's big on Kyle Pitts still. They've got playmakers, but I just don't think they have enough to get through the Bucs. I think the Bucs are just a little bit better, and they're going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see why. I mean, they have good depth on both sides of the football, but that depth is being pressured right now. They've had some injuries at wide receiver. Chris Godwin's not going to be able to start the season healthy. Jalen McMillan, he went down with an injury. So their rookie, Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State, he's actually going to be wide receiver 2 for them into week 1 along the other side of the field with Mike Evans. So that'll be interesting how that plays out. But I'm with you. I mean, I like the Bucs offense. I like their defense. Todd Bowles knows how to get the most out of them there. I think it's between them and, you mentioned it, the Falcons. I think it's their division. It's either the Falcons or the Bucs, kind of whoever is going to get to that 11-win mark. I think you hit it right on the nail with that number. Whoever hits that 11-win mark is going to win the division. They'll make the playoffs. Panthers, I just don't see it. I don't see it. They're a couple pieces away. They're just a hard team to buy into. They had a really good stretch at the end of the year last year where they were finally competing in games. Defense was coming to play. Offensive line was giving Bryce Young time to find receivers, find the football. Chuba Hubbard was running the ball well. I just don't think that they're there yet, unfortunately. But I think they're going to be very close. They're going to be a game or 2 out of the division title. I just don't see them kind of taking that next step. Ultimately, I'm going to go, it's disgusting and it really hurts my heart.
Oh.
But I am going to take the Falcons.
Oh, you're just doing that for the chat. You're giving in to the pressure in the chat.
I am going to take the Falcons to win the division. I think they are the deepest team in this division. I love what they did on the defensive side of the ball and the additions that they've made. They actually just also signed Matthew Judon back, which I think is a great, great addition there. On offense, you mentioned it, Michael Penix is taking over, Penix, whatever you want to call him. Kirk Cousins is still the backup. That's a great, great dude to have as your backup, constantly just hyping you up. I don't know if you saw the new season of quarterback on Netflix where, they talked about Kirk Cousins last year and highlighted him and the transition process. Now that he knows where he stands going into this season, I think it's going to be like having another coach for the Falcons. He's going to invest totally into his role. He's a team guy. They have weapons on the outside. They're going to get the most. I'm saying it. I'm going on record. Here we go. They are going to get the most out of Kyle Pitts this year. It's going to happen.
Flip that.
It's going to happen. They are going to get the most out of Kyle Pitts this year. They got Bijan Robinson now. They're not scared to use him anymore like they were when Arthur Smith was there and he drafted all these guys in the first round and decided to use everybody else instead of them. They are going to use their key players. Drake London on the outside. Ray McLeod. I'm telling you, they're going to be sneaky. I know why you're going with the Bucs. It makes sense. But I think the Falcons will find a way to sneak in there. Shout out to Will in the chat. Shout out to Evelyn. Shout out to my guy, Joseph. Shout out to Navoski if he's out there. If he's out there and just not in the chat. They are the better bird.
Woo, the first better bird of the season. Look, I don't dislike it. I will not be surprised if the Falcons take the division. I cannot. You've said it for a few teams.
It's gross.
You've said it for a few teams. I cannot buy into the Falcons yet because they have not done anything for me to prove that I should buy into them or give them a chance. The Bucs have, and that's why I'm going with the Bucs.
That's fair. Extremely fair.
So high-level recap here. We're pretty aligned in our division winners. The Broncos versus Kansas City in the AFC West is a head-to-head for us. In the NFC South, of course, the Falcons and the Bucs. But besides that, we're pretty much spot on with our division winners. So, yeah, I think you learned a little bit last season. Just kind of follow my picks, and it will be good for you.
That's crazy.
I mean, there's nothing you can say because I won last season, so I can just keep saying.
No, there's nothing I can say. If you want to see one of those things though about not being humble, usually it just comes to just belt to ass the next year. You know what I mean? So that's what we're hoping for this year. Just a little belt to ass. That's
about week 12 last year, I was like, dang, I got to start being humble here. He's going to come back and get me at the end of the season, and that didn't happen. So I'm going to just roll with it. Rolling right into our conference championship game and conference winners. We'll start with the AFC. Shouldn't be a surprise. AFC, I got the Bills versus the Ravens, and it is the year of the Buffalo. Give me the Bills to beat the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. An exciting game. I'm going to throw out a score here. I think it's going to be like a 35-32 type game. It's going to come down to the final minute again, but this year it's not going to be Josh Allen on the sideline watching the other quarterback crush his dreams. It's going to be Josh Allen on the field, driving down, getting those points to get his team to the Super Bowl. He's fixing his hair. Hold on.
So that's what. Wait, say it one more time. I'm sorry. You think Josh Allen's? You think Josh Allen's going to win the Super Bowl? Is that what you're saying?
No. I said he's going to win the AFC Championship game. We'll get to the Super Bowl. He's going to be in the Super Bowl this year.
So who is he playing in the AFC Championship? I apologize.
Well, he's playing the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be a close, tight game, 35-32, something like that. But I think this year, Josh Allen ends the game with the ball. That's why they're going to win the game. He's not going to be on the sideline watching Patrick Mahomes drive down and score at the last second. It's going to be the Bills with the ball, and they're not going to drop the ball this season.
Love it. I'm right there with you. I love that pick.
You have Bills Ravens. You have the exact same pick as me. Trash.
Moving on.
All right, moving on.
Moving on
to NFC. NFC, again, it's just no surprise here. Give me Philadelphia, the Wagons, but they're playing the Detroit Dan Campbells this year in the NFC Championship game, and the Lions are going to take it. I think it's going to be Lions versus the Bills in the Super Bowl. I think the Lions are just going to find a way to win that game. It's going to be gross, but they're going to find a way to win the game. And ladies and gentlemen, for the Super Bowl. Lions versus Bills is not the Super Bowl we want. It's the Super Bowl we need as a country. It could heal us. It's what the people need. It's what sports need. There's not going to be a single person watching Lions Bills Super Bowl that is upset with what they're watching. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to crush Butts' soul. Belt to ass. The Bills. The Buffalo Bills. They're going to break their little curse they have. They're going to go back to the Super Bowl. They're going to win. Final season in their old stadium. Next year's new stadium. They're right in the sweet spot there. You got them on Hard Knocks. You're seeing what they're doing. Let's go Buffalo, baby. Tables are going to break come Super Bowl season.
What are those on the side? Because it's blurred out. Is that for? Oh, man. Yeah. We're just bringing it in there. All right.
Yep.
Well, you're gonna love this. So I'm with you on the other as well. I like the Eagles and the Lions in the NFC Championship. I like the Lions winning it. So it'd be Bills and the Lions in the Super Bowl, and I too like the Bills to finally get one done.
Wow.
And I hate to say it, but yeah, I agree. You're lucky you went first. Is the main point there.
All right, hey, look, it's going to be an exciting season. I'm pumped. Now let's get into some of the bigger season awards here. We're going to start with Offensive Player of the Year. Look, for me, this is a really easy pick. Last year, there was some struggling as a team. This year, we had mentioned if they can get ahead early, they're going to have a chance to get to the wild card, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. Offensive Player of the Year, I like Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is going to go off again, just like he did last year. Might have a triple crown. We'll see what happens. I think that there's a good chance he's in the 1,800 plus, 130 plus catch range this year. So I think Jamar Chase is going to take Offensive Player of the Year. And then I'll just do Defensive Player, and you can tell me what you think. But I'm going to be biased here. He's coming back.
I know where you're going.
He got his money. TJ Watt. Ladies and gentlemen, give me 20 sacks for TJ Watt. Defensive Player of the Year. Zero bias there, just because the guy's good at football. Give me TJ Watt.
Whatever, dude. All right. I agree with you on Offensive Player of the Year. I'm going Jamar Chase. He's just got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing for him. He has to stay healthy. As long as he stays healthy, I think it's his to win. Because he could have – I think he could also do the Triple Crown. Receptions leader, touchdowns leader, yards leader. He definitely could do it this year. On the defensive side, this is where I'm going to show you a little love there, Matt, in the chat. I'm going to go Aiden Hutchinson in a comeback year for him. I think he's going to bounce back in a big way. I think he's going to put that defense on his back. And I think he's going to average a sack, 1.5 sacks a game. And I think he finds a way to get to 20 as well. So I'm going to go with Aiden Hutchinson as my
I don't hate that pick. I might have to sprinkle something on that. I like that a lot, actually, now that I think about it. But I'll never say that TJ is not going to win. All right, moving on to Offensive Rookie of the Year. We've said some of these names. So my first name that pops up here, I'm going to say it wrong, is Mbika for Tampa Bay? Right? Did I say his last name correct?
Egbuka?
Egbuka sounds close. So I think that he's going to have a phenomenal offensive year as a rookie. And I think the only reason he's not going to win, it's going to be very close, is because Cam Ward is going to take it. I think Cam Ward is going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. You've seen some stuff through the offseason. Yes, the U will throw up the U there in the background for Miami. Look, he's composed.
Clip it.
He looks like he has been playing in the NFL for 5 years. He's composed. He doesn't give up. He's a competitor. He's an athlete. He's smart in the field. You saw the interview with Shador and him throwing like in Miami, and Shador is doing his watch thing and talking about making videos. And Cam Ward said something along the lines of, "Yeah, man, I'm just here to play football. Football is my job." That's a football guy. He's going to come out and dominate. So I do like Cam Ward to come out and win Offensive Rookie of the Year, even though his team might not be the best. I think he's going to perform well enough to take that home.
So, yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, I agree with the Cam Ward pick, offensive rookie of the year. That's my guy. How can I not?
Fair enough.
But something of note that I thought was interesting when I was kind of looking this stuff up, because J.J. McCarthy, I think would be a decent rookie of the year candidate, right? No, it doesn't work that way in the NFL. So once you once you establish, your rookie year is your first year of your contract. Whereas like in the NBA, for example, it doesn't work that way. If you sit out that first year for injury, you're eligible the following year for rookie of the year, and that's been controversy with Ben Simmons in the past. So I thought that was interesting that he is not eligible, even though he didn't play at all last year due to injury. He is not eligible for rookie of the year this year. So yeah, I'm with you. I like Cam Ward for offensive rookie of the year. I think he's going to put up decent numbers. I think he's going to do enough to where the Titans win some football games and they find a way to get it.
All right, I'm going to let you go first on defensive rookie of the year, just to make sure you're not just stealing my picks here. So why don't you take defensive rookie of the year, and I'll go after you this time. I hope it's not who I have.
That's crazy. All right, dude. Well, since you're trying to set me up, that one's kind of tough. I'm not going to lie to you. It could kind of go any which way. You could go Abdul Carter. You could go Travis Hunter, if he's even going to play defense. I'm torn. It's one of those, unfortunately, these end-of-year awards, they tend to be a little political. So you got to kind of also consider that side of it. I'm going to go with the better bird. Jalen Walker from the Atlanta
out of nowhere.
Will be the defensive rookie of the year. I think he finds a way to potentially get to 10, 11 sacks at least. That is a stacked defensive line, front seven for the Falcons. They are going to get after the quarterback. Give me Jalen Walker to get it done. Defensive rookie of the year.
Don't hate it, but that's not who's going to win it. Look, you think Abdul Carter, the hype is on him, but I just don't think he's on a good enough team or has enough talent.
Did you see him get destroyed by that chip block?
And then he said, what was he tweeted? I ate that like a barbecue rib or something. I was like, buddy,
there's video. There's video evidence.
You didn't eat anything. And it wasn't even that bad of like a crack block either. I mean, it was almost head to head. He didn't catch him in the ear or anything.
No, it wasn't.
So look, here's what it comes down to me. You mentioned the awards are somewhat political at the end of the year. And for that very reason, just like Travis Hunter won the Heisman, I think if they play him on defense, which I think they will, and he has a few interceptions and he has a couple pass deflections and he plays a few really good games, I think that's going to really, really lean the voters towards him. So for that reason, I'm going Travis Hunter, defensive rookie of the year. That's where I'm sprinkling my sprinkles. All right, going to
I will say, all right, so something of note here that I want to just shoot on real quick. So Travis Hunter, he has the second best odds to win Defensive Player of the Year at plus 750. Jalen Walker is plus 900 as number 3. I'm going to throw a dark horse in there. Will Johnson, the corner that the Cardinals drafted, he is going to have a major chip on his shoulder. He supposedly had a fantastic training camp, and he is plus 3,000. So, just something I wanted to throw out there as a little bit of a dark horse there. Could definitely see him make some noise potentially for rookie of the year.
Interesting. So I thought you were talking about Valdosta State's star tight end Will Johnson from 2011 to 2015. Moving on to
no, I wasn't. But shout out to Will Johnson.
Shout out to Willie. Deuce package. Look, next MVP, tough one. Look, I'm stuck between two people. I'm stuck between Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. And I think that both of them have a very good chance. I think if Josh takes Buffalo to the Super Bowl, it's going to be Josh Allen, no doubter. just because what he does on the field, he passes the ball, he rushes the ball, he controls the field. I mean, he's a general, but so is Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow has you can't bet against Jamar Chase not having 2,000 receiving yards. It could happen. And that would just have a case for Joe Burrow. So I'm really flip a coin between the two. I know I have to choose one, and I'm going to go Josh Allen because I do think that they're going to make a push to the Super Bowl, and that's the only reason I'm choosing Josh over Joe.
Yeah, he could definitely repeat. It's hard to go against Joe Burrow based off of the year that he had last year, in a down year for the Bengals. I mean, he put up. If Josh Allen didn't do what he did last year, it was Joe Burrow MVP by a landslide. If Joe Burrow, if their team record was what the Bills had, and they didn't struggle those first couple games at the beginning of the year, I mean, Joe Burrow runs away with the MVP last year. So I'm with you. It's extremely, extremely hard to go against Joe Burrow in that spot. It's just another one of those things too where he has a chip on his shoulder. I like him a lot as a leader on that team. I think he is going to continue to just take the next steps in development. I'm going to go Joe Burrow as MVP. I think either one of those guys are a great pick because for the reasons that we mentioned, I mean, we both have the Bills winning the Super Bowl. In order for that to happen, I mean, you make an obvious and a great point that Josh Allen was going to have a great year. So I'm gonna go with Burrow just for a little bit of parody, since you think I've been copying all your shit all night. So give me Joey B to get the
Don't
MVP.
hate it, Joey Smooth. All right, so the next one.
Josh Allen to get Super Bowl MVP. There you
go. Look, if the Buffalo Bills make the Super Bowl, it's Josh Allen everything. It's easy. All right, I'm going to go through these next ones in like a little speed round, but we're going to hit on our rushing yard leader, receiving yard leader, touchdown leader, skill position, and then passing yards. So rushing yard leader, this one pretty straightforward. Best offensive line, most consistent offensive line. It's going to be Saquon again. I think he's going to go for 2,000 plus again. That one I don't even have to get into. I think just the consistency of the offensive line, the weapons on the outside, the ability to run the ball wherever you want. Saquon's going to go for it. 2,000 plus. Receiving yard leader, we touched on this. I think it's going to be Jamar Chase, 1,800 plus yards, 130 plus catches, might even win the Triple Crown. Honorable mention here is my Brock Bowers. I think he's going to be up there from a reception standpoint, 120. He doesn't put up quite as many yards last year, almost to 1,200, but he did catch over 100 balls. Touchdown leader, skill position, not quarterbacks. Look, last year, Jamar Gibbs had 20 touchdowns. The key to his 20 touchdowns last year was the use of him in the red zone under Ben Johnson. The fun things they did, the creative things they did. That's why he got in 20 times. I don't think he's going to do it this year. Derrick Henry had 18 last year. For that reason, and I do think the Ravens have improved, I think Henry's going to get to 20 touchdowns this year, and he'll be the touchdown leader. And then last, passing yards, we talked about it. Cooking with Jamar all year. Joey B had 4,918 yards last year. He's going to have over 5,000 passing yards in 2025.
I love it. I'm with you. Joe Burrow, I think, gets over 5,000 passing yards as well. I think he's the leader. Saquon, same thing. I think he's the leader. But you mentioned Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was only 85 yards behind Saquon, and he would have been the leader last year. And something also about Derrick Henry, Baltimore at the beginning of the year last year used him in a weird way. They were almost too nervous about using him early to kind of make sure that he still had the legs and that he stayed healthy for the end of the year.
He's still got the legs.
I think that changes. I think that changes this year. I think they know what they got now, and they're going to put him to work. So I think Derrick Henry's another good pick, potentially for leading the league in rushing again. But I'm with you. I think he leads the league in rushing touchdowns. I think Saquon gets the yards, Henry gets the touchdowns, because they're also trying to take away some of those bumps and bruises from Lamar that aren't necessary anymore. That's another reason why they brought Derrick Henry in, so they could get him out of those situations at the goal line where he's taking those unnecessary hits. So I'm with you there. Receiving, I'm also with you there. Jamar Chase, I like him at the receiving yards. I think he's the leader for the league. Justin Jefferson, his old teammate at LSU, I think we'll be right there with him again. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think that's another one potentially that could sneak in there. I think Jamar Chase is ultimately the guy. Touchdowns at wide receiver, that one could kind of go anywhere for me. I'm not really too pressed on that one. It could be Jamar, it could be Justin, it could be Brian Thomas, it could be it could be anybody. So
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about the yardage. I think the receiving touchdown side of it, a little bit more up in the air. But I'm with you on pass yards. I'm with you on rush yards. I'm with you on receiving yards, and I'm with you on rushing touchdowns. So we're on the same page.
Zero controversy.
Needless to
Love
say.
it. Yeah. Love it. Look, we're excited to be back. Week 1's right around the corner. It's draft season. We got fantasy drafts coming up. We got the Bills winning the Super Bowl. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers possibly winning more than 9 games. Maybe.
Possibly.
We got Derrick Henry getting in the end zone. We got Jamar Chase having a record year, maybe a triple crown. It's going to be a good season. I'm excited. I'm pumped for some football. Yeah, and Miami said it earlier. Thank you guys for being in the chat. Thank you for jumping on. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple. You said iHeartRadio. Didn't even know you could listen to podcasts on that, so check that out.
We're all over the place.
I'm excited to be here. We got our weekly bet this year. I don't even know where that's going to go. I can see myself losing every single week now because we've taken this bet, and I have not been humble about my winnings at all. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Got to start thinking about strategies there. So, but yeah, thank you for everybody that watched. Shout out to everybody that jumped in the chat and fighting the bot comments in there. We really appreciate it. Evelyn, Matt, Will, Joseph, Gator Dave, everybody else that hopped in. We really appreciate y'all joining. Caleb, thank you so much. Again, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, if you're on a podcast station, go ahead and download it. Give us a rating on there. We'd really appreciate it. Helps us out a lot. And it's free. And then also do us a favor and check out shopcya.com. If you're headed to any events this year, you're going to need a clear plastic bag. Go ahead and cover those assets. When you go through security, that clear plastic bag, anybody can see it. This is just a snap-on cover. It covers your assets, covers both sides, covers your credit card, your license, all your vital information that you don't want people knowing about when you're just walking around a stadium. So make sure to check them out at shopcya.com. Tell them we sent you and get those assets covered. Scott, anything you want to say before we sign off for week? This is not week 1. This is the season preview.
It's not. The season preview.
I'm getting ahead of the game.
No, you're getting ahead of the game. Look, I'm excited. It's going to be a good season. I'm not sure week 1 if we're going to touch on that. Probably not next week, but we'll probably be 2 weeks out from our week 1 show. We'll see.
We'll hop on next week and talk something.
Yeah, we could jump in next week, but yeah, no, I'm excited. Football is back. It's a good time of the year. We'll keep the people posted. All I got to say is let's go Buffalo. They're going to win the Super Bowl. And if somehow Aaron Rodgers takes the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Super Bowl, I don't know what I'll do, but I'll do something related to the discount double check. I don't know why you're showing us a fish back there. That's an irrelevant fish. Your quarterback can get sneezed on, and he's going to be out for the rest of his career. But, yeah, Shop CYA. Don't forget, cover those assets. You're at the stadium. You got some embarrassing bet slips in your backpack. You don't want the people to see those. You want to get in. You don't want questions asked. You cover those back up. You get in your seats. So shout out to CYA.
Shout out to CYA. All right, Scott. We're signing off for the night, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you again to everybody in the chat, and we will see you